Okay, Tiger Wolf, welcome. You are now listening to the Tiger Wolf podcast with Nathan Lige and
Chris Gliddon.
Smooth.
It's the Geeky Battle Podcast. Super effective.
Super effective.
Welcome to episode 2 for July 22nd, 2014.
And today we're going to be covering Mario vs. Sonic by popular demand. There have been a number of topics we've been internally debating what we want to do. It was one we were interested in doing anyways, but we got some suggestions.
Yes.
So we're absolutely going to do it now.
This is going swimmingly so far for episode 2. So thanks to AAF News and Nuke and Tech and all the other folks who submitted suggestions. And yeah, so here we go. Mario, Sonic. Let's talk about it. Well, we talked about one thing from the last episode was actually introing the topics, because we started the episode by blabbering on about Romance of the Three Kingdoms, which Nathan's actually going to set us up with to play while we're recording.
While I play, I think I'll be humming Mario.
So we also we talked about introing and explaining who the characters are. So I think this one actually is probably safer. Everyone, I'm assuming, knows who Mario is. So this is a Nintendo versus Sonic debate. A debate of the ages that everyone's had in the past. But Mario is the fictional character created by Shigeru Miyamoto. My Nintendo, and his first appearance was actually in Donkey Kong in 1981.
How do you know all this stuff about Mario?
Just in my head. Yeah.
Especially,
you know what's funny though is actually I did read a book called Super Mario. I read a full biopic on Mario the character. So truthfully, I do actually know a decent amount about the history of Mario.
Somebody could go out and write like a biography on these characters, but like do them as though
they were real people.
Yeah.
Oh,
and just like
fictional biography.
Yeah, I think that'd be kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
I was a young plumber, and this gorilla was throwing barrels at me.
Well, in the beginning, he was a bit of a villain.
Oh, he was the bat.
Yeah.
How did that go?
No.
No, you were Mario.
No, he was the villain in Donkey Kong Jr.
Yes, that's right.
So in Donkey Kong Jr., you played as the little monkey, and Mario, the evil plumber, had captured his dad, Donkey Kong Sr., and it was holding the monkey in captivity. Which obviously that plot line didn't last very, very long.
I suppose it's really just a matter of perspective. I mean, if gorillas find plumbers evil, the rest of us see them as doers of good, saving princesses, spitting fireballs, kicking red shells, driving carts, playing tennis,
playing golf.
Yeah. But I think we're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, though. We do need to introduce the
so our underdog,
opposition.
The opposition and probably the underdog for this one. The younger bloke, but not that much younger, actually. 10 years younger, Sonic the Hedgehog from 1991, his debut on Sega Genesis.
Yeah.
So, Sega's mascot.
Exactly, and I think that in a lot of ways a response to Mario, because Sega saw that Nintendo was having great success with this character Mario, and so they thought, we need our own younger, hipper, edgier, cooler mascot.
Oh, yeah.
And
that's totally what they did.
So we're gonna choose this hedgehog that runs really fast, doesn't do anything else, and has a haircut with spiky points on it.
Yes, and while I'm setting up my new ruler on Romance of the Three Kingdoms 2 for Super Nintendo, which is the greatest game ever made, for those of you who haven't played it, it's an ancient Chinese war simulation. It's as exciting as it sounds, with the greatest graphics ever made as well, because it's the greatest video game ever made. But while I'm setting up...
Similar to the Mario versus Sonic argument, I mean, it's a lot of what Sega at the time, Genesis, sold themselves on was like, the speed of what they did. I remember they had a commercial where they would show like all these racing games that Sega had, and they would show like Mario Kart, and they're like, do you want to go this fast? And they show all these fast Sega games, or do you want to go this fast? And they show like Mario Kart. And inevitably by the end of the commercial, I just wanted to play Mario Kart. I wasn't interested in any of the Sega driving games, but that was kind of like their thing. Like, we're bigger, we're faster.
Yep.
And if you play Romance of the Three Kingdoms on the Sega, you do browse through the menus faster.
Yeah, you totally do.
Yeah,
like the Genesis version of Romance 2.
That's right.
Yeah.
It's a beefier, edgier version.
So Nathan and I bonded over Romance of the Three Kingdoms 2 many, many years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what we've continued to play. We've been playing this game for 20 years.
I expect that we'll be playing it for as long as we know each other.
70 years old.
I expect that our grandkids will be saying, "What is this baloney?" Or I imagine that's what the kids will be saying in 40 years.
It is not an attractive looking game.
No.
Yeah.
They'll be saying, "I have apps on my Google goggles better than this."
Mm-hmm. On my Oculus Rift. Actually, somebody should redesign this for Oculus Rift. That'd be good.
So we're talking about Mario vs. Sonic.
This is going swimmingly well.
Yeah. So we've established that obviously Mario is the power, and Sonic was the Sega's attempt to sort of usurp the throne. And I think for a time we can say that he did.
Who did? Sonic?
Yeah.
When would you say he usurped?
Early on. I mean, I think you kind of have to tie their size and popularity to the success of the consoles that they were on, because I mean, they did really embody them. And so for a while, Super Nintendo and Mario and Sega Genesis and Sonic, I mean, they were intertwined. And there was definitely a period, I think, where for most gamers, maybe of a particular age that we were at the time, like in our young or mid-teens, there were more Sega fans out there, I think.
Oh yeah, totally. Because at the time they marketed the Genesis to be the cooler teen system, and when Sega came out with the Genesis, they really positioned it as like, the Nintendo is like a kid's toy. Like, look at this Duck Hunt Zapper thing, and look at our new, like, much faster, like, kind of edgier teenage thing. Look, we got violence, we got Splatterhouse. Look at Splatterhouse. Wow.
Their Mortal Kombat had real blood. Super Nintendo's had sweat.
Oh man, that was my favorite, actually. The Mortal Kombat version on the Super Nintendo. Remember? Did you ever get to the point where when you're doing fatalities, which didn't have any blood, and he would punch Sonya off of the big ledge, and then there was a glitch where they didn't have a female voice recorded for her.
Sounded like a man.
So she was like, oh! Falling. Oh, it was so funny.
It was very good. That was probably my favorite part of the game, actually.
Yeah.
Making Sonya scream like a man.
It's a really bad game. Like, you go back and play it, and it just feels sluggish. Like, Street Fighter was way better. Yeah.
Chunky.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there definitely was a point there where Sega was more popular. It's actually kind of interesting. We talk about that strategy, I guess, that marketing strategy, because PlayStation and Xbox really did that much more successfully at a certain point versus Nintendo, where they said,
like, did what more successfully?
Well, they marketed themselves to a more mature crowd, and
well, they went for like 17 and plus, like, so they aged with gamers.
Yeah, yeah, and so I mean, I think obviously we saw with the Wii that was fine for Nintendo. They had the family market and did really well. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, PlayStation and Xbox obviously have built on their success, and they are the strongest players now. Mm-hmm. Whereas, at the time we're talking about with Nintendo, Super Nintendo, and Sega Genesis, like, it's hard to imagine anybody other than those two not dominating, because there were other systems out like Panasonic 3DO and Jaguar 64. Like, I remember the ads for like Jaguar 64 were like, do the math, because they had 64 bits versus.
Wait, didn't they have like 64 buttons on the controller? Remember
they didn't have a massive like.
It had like a keypad at the bottom. Like, yeah. We'll put that in the show notes. That was one thing we didn't do a super great job of last time. We didn't actually include show notes to all the random things we were talking about, and so I'll try and do a better job this time of.
I'm not promising anything.
We'll try and do a better job of actually including some of the things we're talking about. But yeah, I think that was like one of the ugliest controllers of all time.
Yeah.
I was actually really excited when the Genesis first came out. Like, I didn't get Sonic. I actually never got Sonic. Never had a copy of it myself. But the Genesis, I got it as soon as it came out. So my dad bought me a copy when it was like the $500 Genesis. Right. and it was prior to the Super Nintendo being out, and man, it was cooking. Like, it felt so fast and so high definition. Like, it was, oh man, it was crazy good. And the thing is that, so getting back to like Mario and Sonic, actually, it's your turn.
Oh, sorry.
You gotta go.
Sorry.
You go, Tao Quain. How do you say it? Tao Quain?
Tao Quain. That's not right at all.
My pronunciation's bad. Yeah, so the thing that's different, I think, about Mario versus Sonic came out of a place where it was like a corporate strategy that we need to make a character, and he needs to be edgy, and he needs to embody all of the things that make the Sega Genesis better than any other console. So he needs to be like this and this and this. So he felt like a corporate character to me. Like, I always felt like Sonic was kind of gutless. But
Yeah.
what's funny is like Mario also is kind of gutless, but coming out of a different, like it's a little bit of a different slant. Like Mario, they invented him because of like the lack of colors. Like when Miyamoto was making Donkey Kong, he had to use certain constraints because it was out of an arcade cabinet from an older game. I can't remember the name of the game actually offhand. I'll look it up and I'll link it in the show notes as well. But when they were first making that arcade terminal and he had to reprogram the game for the cabinet, he had a limited color palette available to him. So he just used what he had to come up with this like person, and that's how he ended up having like, you know, sort of a mustache, and sort of like the overalls was actually just necessity of the limited graphics and color palette. So it was a character that kind of was spawned by limitations rather than what do we need to embody for our brand. Like two very different approaches to creating a character.
Yeah.
I don't know, like they both, there's something kind of artistically more pure about Mario because he had to come out of,
It's a more organic process. Like he was literally like a side character in a huge game for them. You know, like if anything, I'm
which
sure
they didn't even know was going to be a big game and just exploded, right?
And like when Donkey Kong was huge, you probably would think like the game's called Donkey Kong, that's going to be their mascot, right?
Yeah.
But instead, I think he was even called Jumpman at the time.
Yep, yeah, Jumpman at the beginning.
Yeah.
As opposed to the real Jumpman, which came out later by Epix Games, which is incredible. It's actually one of my favorite games of all time.
That's like the Commodore 64.
Yeah, Commodore 64.
And all, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so, it's definitely just a much more organic process where how he came about, which you can very much see like Sonic was like a result of these different like study groups getting together, and like, you know, one like professional guy who went to like school for marketing is sitting around with a bunch of 12-year-olds, like, you know, he's got one leg up on the chair and he's got his, you know, trying to look really cool with them and trying to get them to like talk about what they think is cool. And reminds me of the episode of Simpsons where they introduced the new character on what was the cartoon they always watched on Simpsons, and Homer voiced the dog. This is
not Itchy and Scratchy.
Itchy and Scratchy. They had, I totally forget the name of the character they added.
See, we're professionals. We come up with all of this ahead of time.
Exactly.
This is all scripted, folks. We're just very, very good at making it sound like we're not scripted because we are consummate professionals.
That's right.
Yeah.
None of that was improvised. So anyways, yeah, you can totally get that feel that that's the case with Sonic. But I think that probably looking at him and even getting that feeling, what you wouldn't predict is that the games, for what they were pretty good. And they were
Sonic?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, like the first Sonic game's incredible.
Because there was nothing else really like that.
No,
Certainly
totally.
not at that style, and again the speed, even what they sold it on, they came through on.
Yep.
Yeah. So
it was a good game. It had great music. It was really catchy and memorable, and it was the first time that you'd had a game where speed was part of the game mechanic.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's not even like, it's a pretty simple twist on like a fairly conventional platformer game, right? Like you're still just doing the running and jumping, but it was the first time where you added crazy speed that you could hardly keep up with as a mechanic or as an add-on to the game mechanic. So I mean, for that thing, but let's talk about like an evolution of the characters being extended into other platforms, right?
Okay.
So Mario got extended into everything, and actually they extended him into too many games to the point where it almost became a bit of a joke, and so then they would kind of dial back. Nintendo would slow down on the number of things that they add on. Like when the Game Boy first came out, years after the NES, I think it was like early 90s, late 80s. When he first came out, like every game had Mario on the cover, like Breakout, Mario Golf, like Mario Tennis, like he was in a tennis game, like he was in everything.
But I think the reason for that though is because like Mario Kart was such a huge success, you know, like.
But that was before Mario Kart, right?
Mario Tennis and all that stuff.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Like the Game Boy ones, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you're right.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember if they were called Mario Tennis or they just were like.
Though. It was just called Tennis, but Mario was in the game and it was featured prominently on the branding.
That's true, but usually it would just sort of be, I think, just be Mario and then some generic little characters. I remember having that on the old Game Boy, and then glorious three-tone color, whatever it was. Yeah.
Did you see the Kids React to Game Boy?
No.
Video that's on YouTube? It's fantastic.
Oh, actually, I have seen that. They just don't know what it is, right? Like it's.
They sort of know what it is.
Yeah.
They know more about because it's more obvious. They're like, oh, it's a Nintendo platform. Oh, must be an old Nintendo. This must be an old video game system. Like they get it right away.
Yeah.
Whereas like kids react to old computers when they show them like an old PC.
Yeah.
They're like, what do I do with this thing? Like, it's like a disc. There's like it's like a DOS boot prompt, and you're like, what the? It's just, what do I type?
Yeah.
You're like, hit enter.
Yeah.
What do I do? And they're like touching the screen to make something happen. It's fantastic.
Yeah, totally.
Well, tell me, like, what are your top Sonic games?
Well, you know, actually, what was pretty good, because obviously Sonic followed a sort of I'm going to keep calling Sega Sonic. Sega followed a similar strategy where they tried to get Sonic in a lot of stuff. Like they had Sonic Olympics game, I think, for a while. They had...
They still do. Yeah, they just put it in a recent one, too.
Yeah.
On Wii U. Yep.
I think Mario's actually in that one now, too.
Yeah, Mario and Sonic.
Yeah, but they had one that I thought was quite good. That was a puzzle game, and it was like Dr. Robotnik's bean explosion or something. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, Dr. Robotnik's Mean Bean Machine.
Yeah, totally. Yep. Yeah, so, and that actually came out around the same time as
fantastic game.
Mario's Virus one. I don't remember what that was called.
Dr. Mario.
Yeah, that's right.
Yep.
So they kind of had like competing puzzle games, and there's just like a lot of that going on.
Yep.
So
that was actually a really good era for puzzle games.
Yeah, that's true.
There were quite a few good ones, and I think one of the ones that it was a shame that it didn't take off as much as the other ones was some of the Puyo Puyo games from Japan. Kirby's Avalanche is fantastic.
Right.
It's sort of the same sort of game as Dr. Mario. And actually, I'm trying to think if Mean Bean Machine actually is a Puyo Puyo game. I need to look that up. I'm going to look that up while you guys are talking.
Us guys?
Yeah, us guys.
There's
the
only
two
one
of us. Well, you continue talking, and I'll look up Dr. Robotnik.
So it's a funny question. What's my favorite Sonic game? Because I think, to me, the Achilles heel of the series is that a lot of them are really very similar. So it's hard to say what a favorite is. If you look at like Sonic 1, 2, 3, and even some of the ones after that, they're all like really just side scrollers where you're going really fast, going through loops and stuff. I do remember they had, I want to say it's the third one, like it started introducing more characters, which is sort of the logical thing you do as you build a character and a brand in a world. And they had one that had like that new technology. I want to say it's the third one where you could plug in to the cartridge another game on top of the cartridge.
Yep. Oh yeah. That was Sonic and Knuckles.
Sonic and Knuckles. Yeah, totally.
Yep.
So that was kind of cool, and like, I mean, Sega actually did a lot of stuff where they were like trying little add-ons and stuff like that, and most of it didn't really pan off. Like the Sega CD, for example.
Yep. Although the Sonic CD game is actually quite good.
I never played that.
Okay,
I played Sewer Sharks.
So I'm going back on what I said earlier about Puyo Puyo because Dr. Robotnik was the first Puyo Puyo game to come out in North America.
So that's just who produced it?
No, that's like it's a type of game. Right?
Okay.
So Puyo Puyo. Let's see, my better Ted. For those who haven't played Puyo Puyo, I mean, those who actually really do legitimately know about video games and play them day in and day out are going to be like, these guys don't know what they're talking about.
I think we're establishing that our podcast is for people who don't know anything about the subject we're talking about.
Yep.
Which means they probably aren't interested in the subject that we're talking about.
Yeah. We just like hanging out.
Yeah, that's really all it is.
Yeah, Puyo Puyo was first released in 1991. And it was a Sega game. There you go. Fantastic Sega game.
So 1991, that's the same year that the initial game came out.
Sonic came out. Yeah.
That's interesting. I think again, I'm just going on memory here, that he did have like an immediate impact. Like maybe he just was heavily marketed or whatever. Yeah.
Sonic was, when Sonic first came out, he was the biggest. Because he slaughtered Mario.
When I was playing Mean Bean Machine, that was like Sonic was like a known entity by then, even though it was the same year. Mm-hmm. And Sonic also had his own like cartoon not long after, which obviously Mario had already done as well. So I mean, he definitely had a huge presence. I think at that point, I mean, Mario had his sort of breakthrough game in 1986, I guess it would have been, with Super Mario Brothers, and I mean that was definitely a huge revelation at the time. Mm-hmm. And in retrospect, I think the fact that they did a totally different style of game with Super Mario Brothers 2 really helped it. I remember even thinking at the time, like, oh, Japan's got a different version. It must be better, you know. But if you play Lost Levels, I think it's called now.
Yeah, the American release of the Japanese original.
Maybe it's because I've gotten used to Super Mario Brothers 2, but it just sort of feels like more of the same.
It is, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's not really that exciting. It basically feels like a modded evolution of Super Mario 1.
Yeah.
So North Americans actually, in a way, had it better because the game is so different.
Yeah, totally different. Yeah. And it really established like the distinctiveness of the characters because you could choose between 4 different characters, and depending on the ones you chose, it really did provide you different abilities, which is again was quite novel, really, and that. You can see there kind of the beginnings of like choosing different characters in Mario Kart and the fact that they can do different things. And then they evolved again quite significantly, I think, when they went to Mario 3.
Oh yeah, Mario 3. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And see, like on the merits of Super Mario Brothers 3 alone, I would like this for me like is a hard one to debate because if you're looking at even just the games, the Mario games are so much better than the Sonic games. It's like it's not even funny.
I know.
There's like almost no comparison.
We talk about Sonic a lot because I think we're trying to beef up the argument.
Yep.
But as soon as we start talking about Mario,
yep. Yeah. So I could start rattling off the Mario games that I think are great. Super Mario 2 is great for its own weird reasons. Super Mario Brothers 3 is a classic. Super Mario World is a classic. Mario World 2 is a classic. The original Super Mario Kart, Mario RPG, Paper Mario. Every version, well, no, not every version of Mario Kart.
Mario Party.
Yeah, Mario Party's pretty good. It's not my favorite, though.
But again, still kind of feels like a distinctive niche. And again, there weren't really games that were happening like that when Mario Party came out. And I personally,
true.
I was going to say I still enjoy doing that in a social setting. I never do that. I never actually play a Mario Party in a social setting. But if I did, I'm sure that I would enjoy myself if I played Super Mario Party 8 or whatever it's at.
It's almost its own genre, right?
Yeah.
Like Mario Party, I think, was one of the first that really focused on, hey, if you have a whole bunch of people over and you're going to have a social video game, like where everybody's kind of crowded around a computer playing together, you know, what would that look like?
Yeah, and again, if we talk about those characters being tied to the consoles that they're on, that's really reflective of where the consoles went for Nintendo. Like there was more and more about sort of a social experience, and you know, you could play Mario Tennis with 3 other friends and have a really good time. You could play Mario Party, of course. Super Smash Brothers is like a 4-player game that people love. Even like hardcore gamers love playing that game.
And that's where like all the worlds started to come together, right? Like Smash Brothers is genius.
It's hard to pull off taking a bunch of different IPs and making them work together. Like having a game where you have Mario and Zelda and Samus or Samus, I don't even know, Star Fox, and I think Sonic's even in those games now. Yep. That was. I mean, I'm just gonna fast forward to kind of my closing argument. Sega died as a hardware developer. Sonic is now in Nintendo games. In games that Mario still headlines. Sonic is a side character in some games. So it's hard to really argue that, like, Sonic's impact kind of is... Sonic in so many ways seems like an artifact of the 90s.
Yep. He very much is. He's a grunge character.
Yeah.
And he's like, look at me, I'm edgy, I'm like Nirvana. And so basically, Sonic is like dad rock now. It's weird to think that Nirvana and Pearl Jam, with all of their uncomfortably vulnerable lyrics, is dad rock. Like Led Zeppelin was dad rock for the kids of the 90s.
But I would say that Sonic, if Sonic is dad rock, they're like, he's collective soul. He hasn't really...
We'll put some links to some Collective Soul songs in the show notes, and you guys can check out how amazing those guys are.
I honestly, I can still put on a Collective Soul song, and I've done this recently.
You basically think he's Christian rock.
Well, I think he's very niche.
You're basically saying he's like Petra with edge.
He's better than Petra. Who would be the video game character equivalent of Petra?
There was that spiritual... We should do a cast on spiritual warfare.
Man. And spiritual warfare versus Noah's Ark.
Yeah. See, one of the things that... Okay, so we're looking for more suggestions from our listeners for more obscure things to debate about. So we're going to pick a few kind of like, big topics that everyone can relate to, but we also like talking about niche stuff. So.
Yeah, I'd like more suggestions that I can disregard and just talk about what I want.
Yep. Like what?
You can suggest whatever you want. I'm just going to talk about what I want.
All right.
No, but for real, obviously, I do really like getting suggestions. I mean, this Sonic versus Mario is one that we probably wouldn't have been talking about it this soon in our podcast journey if it wasn't for the fact that there were a few suggestions from people who are listening, which is great. But we totally appreciate that fact people are listening. I didn't even think we would have 3 listeners.
Yeah, we thought we'd have about 2 or 3 people listening to the cast. So
two of them being Chris and I.
So thanks to everyone who's actually listened to the podcast, because it's quite flattering to actually have people listening to the show. And
tell us what you like and what you don't like, and I will also disregard that.
Crap. So if you say this part's crap, just tell us that it's crap, and we'll stop doing it.
Unless we're enjoying doing it, then we'll keep doing it.
Yeah. What about Mario games? Like, what are your favorite Mario games? What's an obscure Mario game that you like?
Oh man,
like something obscure. Like everyone knows of the obvious ones. Like Mario Kart 8 is the greatest Mario Kart game of all time. Have you played it yet?
The newest one.
Yes.
For like 10 minutes.
Yes, so you need to play it more often. In fact, we could almost abandon romance and start playing it during this because it's that good.
I'd have to focus on it though. It would make for a boring podcast.
You'd be listening to us breathing.
Yeah, that's right.
Maybe we'll save that for the YouTube channel.
Red shell.
Yeah, when we launch a YouTube channel, you guys can watch us play Mario Kart badly and make fun of us, which would be good.
Yeah. Favorite obscure... I'm not sure what qualifies as obscure. Because, I mean, so many of the titles you mentioned are really good ones. Love playing Super Mario Galaxy and Galaxy 2. Those are really great games, but, all of these games seem like they're hits.
Yeah, they were big hits, actually.
I never played...
I didn't play
Super Mario Sunshine. Mario Galaxy's fun. It's kind of... I would say it's all these games sort of evolve from somewhere, right? And I'd say it probably evolves from Mario 64, because it's a 3D Mario style game.
When they moved to Mario 64, Super Mario 64.
Yeah, and
then entered the 3D world.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was gonna say I haven't played Super Mario Sunshine, but I think it's also probably in that vein as well.
Mm-hmm. If you look at the Wikipedia article of list of video games featuring Mario, I've got this up on the screen right now. We're just looking down an endless list of all.
What about
you know what I'm going to talk about?
Mario in Time or
yes.
Luigi's
I'm going to talk about Mario is Missing.
That's right. Yeah.
What a ridiculous education game for those of you who haven't played.
I actually haven't played that one.
Oh, it's so bad. It's so bad.
Can I say that I love Super Mario All Stars just because it includes 4 games, 5 games if you get them?
Doesn't really count. It's kind of cheating.
Okay.
I've talked about Yoshi actually recently, like the original puzzle game.
Is that Yoshi's Cookies? Yeah, there's another puzzle one.
There's Yoshi and there's, well, I guess Mario isn't in Yoshi, but he is in Yoshi's Cookies, sort of.
But he's part
no, he's in Yoshi.
I think we should include anything that's in the Mario world.
Okay. Well,
there's a Mario Excitebike game.
I'm going to say Super Mario RPG is probably one of my favorites. Mario Kart 8. Actually, let's talk about Mario Paint.
Sure.
That's like honestly one of my favorite Mario games. It was such a bizarre idea that to have a mouse for a console at the time, like when Mario Paint was released for the Super Nintendo, and they released a mouse, and no other games actually ever utilized that peripheral.
Right.
There's only Mario Paint that ever actually took advantage of it. Like, that was awesome. And there's still, like, to this day, people are making and composing music in Mario Paint and putting up, like, you can find all these different covers of popular songs on YouTube of people, like, just covering songs in Mario Paint.
That's cool.
It's a great movement. I love it. So I think that actually speaks to the testament, like, it's a testament of how kind of clever and interesting that was. Like, making little movies in Mario Paint. Like, that was the first time, like, for when you're a little kid and you're dreaming of making animations, it made animation kind of like brought it to your Super Nintendo, and suddenly you could draw stuff. It was kind of a forerunner to what they did with like Flipbook on the DS.
Yeah, it's like just open creativity, right? I wonder what makes Animal Crossing a Mario game. I haven't really played that.
Here is a
I saw there it is right there. 2001 on the GameCube. I haven't played it.
I'm gonna disregard that. It doesn't seem like a real Mario game to me.
Yeah,
it doesn't count.
I'd have to like really sit down and go through the list thoroughly to pick my 10 favorite, because there's just so many that are so good.
You know, what game was surprisingly good, and I don't know that a lot of people give it the credit, was Super Princess Peach. It was a very, very good platform.
You never played that?
It was on the DS. It was a good one.
I've got March of the Minis on the DS. That's pretty fun. Like it's a puzzle game. I do enjoy the Super Smash Brothers games, even though inevitably I just end up button mashing. Oh,
you know what game I want to talk about? Okay, I still had not played this game, and I want to play it so bad. I feel like there's no excuse for the fact that I have not played this. You know, anyone who knows me super well, like Nathan knows me, knows I'm a huge Dragon Quest fan. I've always wanted to play Fortune Street. Fortune Street is this weird kind of Mario Party-esque board game, but it features the characters from Nintendo's properties mashed up with all the Dragon Quest properties. So it's got like slimes and all the different like...
That is hilarious.
I'm trying to remember the different characters in Dragon Quest that are featured in this, like slimes and golems. It's sort of like Monopoly, right?
Yeah.
I want to play this so bad.
That's hilarious.
I need to play this before the next time we do a show.
Maybe that's what we should do, is like take the two most, the two strongest Mario games and have them sort of compete and debate, because this is not really a fair fight. Again, like you asked, like, if you asked me to pick my 10 favorite Sonic games, like I would basically just sort of pick the puzzle.
What would you pick? Like
Mean Machine and any one of the side scrollers, because
I'd pick Spin. I'd probably pick
like Sonic and Knuckles probably would be the best side scroller, I think.
Really? Sonic CD is really solid.
Right. The one on the Dreamcast was good, but again, it was sort of more of the same.
Yeah.
I don't remember the Dreamcast one.
I haven't really given the 3D ones much of a chance, but I will say that the new racer games are incredible. So whatever they're called. See, I don't even remember the name of them. All Stars Racing. They have a really awful name. It's not simple like Mario Kart. It's not like Sonic Cars.
I will say this. I'll take Sonic over the goofy mascot Sony had for a while. Crash Bandicoot?
Crash Bandicoot. What a terrible, terrible character. He's just obnoxious.
And he wasn't even owned by Sony, I don't think, because I'm pretty sure I saw a Crash Bandicoot game.
Namco or something?
Well, I don't know. I don't particularly care too much about Crash Bandicoot, but I did see a game of his on another console down the road. But yeah, he was He was not good. But, you know, again, maybe that's part of like Sony and Microsoft's strategy of aiming at older crowds. They don't really have those kind of mascots anymore.
Yeah, he's a Naughty Dog character. Yeah, I mean, the thing was, there was a whole series. Did you ever see the Play Value video podcast?
Oh, yeah, that was fantastic. Yeah, really good.
Really good series.
Yeah.
They did a series on video game characters.
Oh, really?
And,
the one I've seen is on, maybe we should promote them a little bit, but the history of video games is the one that I saw.
Yeah, it's a whole series, right? Like they're all kind of like they're all the history of video games, but it's broken up into a bunch of parts. And they're not doing the show anymore, but it's like a whole myriad of different people were involved in making those videos. But they did one on these characters and like characters, because there was a season where every other developer, like, so Sonic and Mario both have this kind of cultural influence where later in the 90s everyone jumped on the bandwagon to have a character, right? So that's where you started to get like Earthworm Jim.
That's the first one I thought of too, actually.
Eek the Cat and
Eek the Cat was a cartoon first,
Bubsy.
Right? Bubsy. What was Bubsy again?
Eek the Cat.
Bubsy was a cat also.
Bubsy was a cat, but like Bubsy and
I'm having flashbacks to like EGM ads, like from the magazines, just like
Electronic Gaming Monthly.
Yeah. Just like all like those characters were all over those magazines. Like,
oh yeah, and you got tired of it. Like it was just it was a sea of like thrown together mascots, right? Like, oh, this will be fun. Kids love characters, right? Let's come up with a bunch of bad characters.
Colorful, zany,
You know, to be honest, as a kid, I would have been more interested in serial characters. Like, you could have given me like Count Chocula being badass, and I would have been like, this is a great video game. Give me a Count Chocula game.
There must be a video game out there somewhere based on a serial that just did terribly.
Well, that's a good segue. You wanted to talk about. Well, okay, wait. Before we end this, let's talk about. Let's end this.
Yeah.
Say who's the winner, Mario or Sonic?
Luigi.
Based on Luigi's Mansion, right?
Yeah, that's right. No, I mean obviously it's Mario. I mean,
okay. What if we were just basing it on TV series?
Well,
and no video games.
I used to love the Mario TV series. I mean,
which one? The Super Mario Brothers Super Show?
I think so. That's one where they had like the intro with like the really bad actors playing Mario Luigi for a bit.
With the ending?
And then they throw to the cartoon. And then I think the ending was usually like a preview of the Link episode coming up that week, wasn't it? Every Friday would be an episode on Link. And that's the part I was like...
No, that was like Mario 3 or like Captain N, the Game Master.
Oh, that was awesome too.
I think the one... Whoa.
Oh, shoot.
Ignore the feedback. There's no feedback. You didn't hear that.
No.
Don't unmute what you're recording on.
If Captain N and the Game Masters counts because it's a Nintendo, then like, yeah. The other thing too that we haven't mentioned is the fact that Mario had its own movie. Have you ever seen the Super Mario Brothers movie?
Yeah, we should do it. Okay, yeah, go for it.
Dennis Hopper and Bob Hoskins.
Dennis Hopper!
And John Leguizamo. And yeah, it is a weird movie that actually I haven't seen in forever, but I want to watch it again because I don't know, I just have these memories of like Koopas with tiny little heads, and it's one of those movies that really didn't have anything to do with the game, I don't think. But Sonic didn't have its own weird movie.
That's true. For good reason.
Yeah. Yeah. So IMDb gives...
1993. What did it get on like Rotten Tomatoes?
IMDb said 2 stars, I think.
Rotten Tomatoes, 16%.
Yeah, that is a special kind of bad when you're down at 16%.
And the film's tagline is, "This ain't no game."
That's right.
Oh, man.
Yeah, so...
If that's not like a selling point, I don't know what is.
I have to be honest, I didn't really watch the Sonic TV show. It just never really appealed to me. So
why do you think it didn't appeal to you?
Well, because again, I think it goes back to that character and the fact he's just sort of felt like a product of market research.
Yeah,
you know,
he's
like,
empty.
Yeah,
he's an empty character.
Yeah.
So if I'm gonna like base this just on the characters themselves, like, they're both kind of not very interesting characters.
Yeah.
Like, there's a reason people play Mario Kart and don't pick Mario. Like,
right.
I don't know. I don't know many people that pick Mario to race with in Super Mario Kart. which is kind of funny.
I'm all about like the heavy hitters, like the Bowser or Wario or Donkey Kong. Yeah.
I'm all about making really ugly Miis and playing as Miis.
That's fun too.
Yeah.
I like making Chewbacca.
So back to cereals, though. So you wanted to talk about cereals. Why don't you intro this?
Sure, totally. So
we decided we wanted to change it up a little bit.
Yeah, the name of this episode is going to be Mario versus Sonic, and that's the bulk of what we're talking about. How are we doing for time?
No, we're doing great.
Okay, great. So
40 minutes of pure bliss.
Oh, really? So to wrap it up was to do a quick little debate on what is the best cereal, and we haven't. Yeah. So, anyways, I think we'll just both state what our favorite cereal is, and argue the merits. I don't think we're going to convince the other that the other is right. So we're really going to be depending on you, the listener, to.
And we are actually listening. We're watching on Facebook.
That's right.
We're watching on Twitter. We're looking at emails and our website. We see this stuff. Tiger, Wolf, Cast, everywhere. Right. So we are watching. And we want to see your responses. And your friends' responses.
That's right. And your friends'
spouses and cats' responses.
Your responses are going to ultimately decide the winner here. So
I like gold.
There are so many amazing cereals out there. We've been talking about like video games or cereal characters as video games. There have been video game characters as cereals. In fact, I'm pretty sure Super Mario had his own cereal.
Did he?
I'm pretty sure. And like, actually, I think there was like the cereal box was like half Mario and half Zelda again.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's the case. I remember Ninja Turtles had their own cereal. Oh man.
Nintendo cereal system. What the deuce is that?
We're looking at pictures right now, which is great for a podcast.
Link in the show notes.
Did you ever get like there were two different Ninja Turtle cereals, and there was one Ninja Turtle cereal that had like marshmallows and was like super tasty. And that's the one everybody wanted. My mom somehow found the Ninja Turtle cereal that was like grape nuts. They were like
grape nuts?
They were like green grape nuts, basically.
Oh, that's awful.
I was so excited that my mom brought it home. I was like, wow, like we were a family that did not do sugar cereal ever, right?
Yeah.
Because
they're bad for you.
Yeah, I don't know if it was the last episode or one of our secret hidden episodes that we talked about the fact that my mom was like activist against toys with violence.
Yeah, but we talked about it when we were talking about G.I. Joe.
Yeah, okay, so that was in the last episode. So the other part of my childhood is the fact that we didn't have any like sugary anything in the house. And so I was really excited to get these Ninja Turtle cereals at home, and felt like my teeth were going to break when I started eating them, like just these big rock chunks. But I'm kind of distracted by the fact I'm seeing a cereal for Spot and Yo Noid.
Yo Noid!
Are those actually cereals?
Oh my god!
Okay. Those are actually games.
Oh man, Noid was the Domino's Pizza.
Yeah. Oh, mascot. I totally remember.
See, everyone needed a character.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
And oh man, what a horrible character! And also Spot from 7-Up. Was it 7-Up or was it Sprite? 7-Up, right?
It was 7-Up, but didn't they also had Dido or Dido? So who came first?
Dido was a really terrible British singer that.
Well, there's that.
It was like.
But don't you remember that character was kind of like a stick character, and he like just walked around all cool like.
Walked around all cool like.
Another character.
Stick character.
Another food character who had a video game was.
You're talking about the cheese strings guy?
The cheetah. The cheetah.
Oh, Cheeto. Like Chester. Was it Chester
something
Cheetah?
Like that. Yeah. So anybody who had like a character they'd make a video game.
Yeah, look at how cool Spot is.
I think that's more a legacy of Sonic than it is of Mario.
Yep.
Or maybe it's both. I mean, if Mario wasn't so successful, there's the good Ninja Turtle cereal. If Mario wasn't so successful,
the one with sugar.
Yeah, and marshmallows. If Mario wasn't so successful,
playing the hardest game of all time, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for the NES.
Oh man,
it's so hard.
That's the Nintendo cereal I was thinking of there with us.
Which
like
one?
Half Mario.
The Nintendo cereal system.
Yeah, and half.
Oh
Zelda.
my god, that looks delicious.
I know. So, but.
We rescued breakfast.
The cereal that is still my go-to.
If you can't beat him, eat him. I'm sorry. What are you saying?
That is something that Mario would say. Yeah, so the cereal that I still go to today is Golden Grahams. That's my go-to. If we don't get it all the time. because I now have a wife who doesn't, who's in more
Who doesn't want you to become like fat? And
basically
unattractive.
She's more interested in things that are healthy and good for you,
Like Cinnamon Toast Crunch.
Yeah, I wish. But every once in a while, I'll put my foot down and get some golden grams. show her the man in the house is.
Yeah, and then we'll go to counseling.
That's right. I'll put my pants on and a big spoonful of gold grams in my mouth, and then we go to counseling. So that's
good. So what is your cereal choice?
Golden grams.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. But
yeah.
You're just picking cereal in general.
Does it
have to be like healthy? Is it just like any kind of like if you could eat cereal?
Yeah, any
or
cereal.
Is it just any cereal in general?
I mean, some people eat cereal any time of the day.
Yeah.
And I think I know like Pixar has a cereal bar which is kind of amazing.
Yeah.
Have you seen that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. The thing is I can't have milk, so
okay.
I gotta have mine with like almond milk and things like that.
Actually, that's usually what I have cereal with is with almond milk. We don't do dairy all the time.
Yep.
Yeah. I have to have real milk in my coffee though.
I think the one I probably go to is kind of boring. It's Vector, but if I was gonna go for like kind of my fondest memories cereal, I'd pick Pac-Man from the 80s.
Pac-Man.
The Pac-Man cereal.
I'm just gonna assume that had marshmallows in it. Yeah.
Yeah, because it had like ghost marshmallows. Like, look at this great cover art. Crunchy sweetened corn cereal with marshmallow bits with super Pac-Man marshmallows. Yeah.
Your choice is a lot funner. I think.
Yeah, look at how fun it is. Look at the packaging.
That's right.
Yeah.
But
there you go.
Mine is a safe, sweet pick, I think.
Yeah.
It's Golden Delicious.
There you go.
It doesn't have a fun mascot like all these other 90s things we were talking about.
Which it should.
Probably did in the 90s. I just don't remember what it is.
Yes.
You couldn't get by in the 90s without one.
Yeah.
No.
True.
Can you imagine like being involved in marketing in the 90s and like that was probably like marketing 101 if you went to like university in 1992.
You gotta make sure you got a character.
That's right.
Get a focus group together.
The more zany the better.
Hey kids, I got the perfect thing for 7-Up. His name is Spot.
He's a red circle.
He's a red circle with hands.
He's crazy.
He's cool.
He might seem like a red circle, but wait, we're gonna put sunglasses on him.
Unexpected.
Yeah. So, anyways, we're putting it to the listeners, the tweeters,
Which one's better? What's it up against? What's
Golden Grams versus? Do you want to say Vector? Or do you want to say Pac-Man cereal? Pac-Man cereal.
Golden Grams versus Pac-Man. You heard it here first. Let's hear your responses. Go.
Goodbye.
Thanks everybody for listening. You can catch us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, SoundCloud.
Twitter handles Tiger Wolfcast.
Tiger Wolfcast. You can find us everywhere.
Give us some likes on Facebook.
Yeah, likes. We want some more likes. Thanks everyone, and see you again soon.
Au revoir.